What's up everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we are reacting to some serious Christian cringe, and when I say we, I mean I am not alone. Today I have Lisa, the rainbow giraffe, here with me, and also my new friend, Skeptic. Everyone say hi.
Hey Jacqueline, it's great to know you're not alone in the pointing out the silliness in belief game, right? And what better way to poke fun at some theists than to get a British floating circle and an all-American to react to some of the crazy these folks say. Let's do this.
Misery loves company, and why should I have to suffer alone? Everyone give him a warm welcome and make sure you go subscribe to The Skeptic, and also click the link in my description below because we did a video over on his channel. There is unlimited Christian cringe out there and we just could not fit it all into this video. So make sure you go watch pretty much part 2. Click the link below.
When Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," he wasn't talking about how to get more of you into heaven. He was talking about how to get more of heaven into you. Does the way you practice your faith fill you with more heaven? Tell me some of your most effective spiritual practices. I want to hear about it.
Firstly, when was it okay to completely change the meaning of Bible verses? Surely it's just a follow me suckers verse, no mention of a cloud fairyland. And if there is a cloud fairyland that folks go to when they die, how on earth can the dead place also be inside you?
Jesus is in every one of us. So now Jesus is inside you. You are filled with the Holy Spirit, and now heaven is inside you. I feel like I'm sensing a theme here. All right, so having been raised religious, I understand the sentiment here, right? Heaven is a happy place, right? It's the good place. You want to go there. When you enjoy something, people often will relate it to heaven, right? Oh, that was heavenly, it was divine. So bringing more heaven into you should, I guess, mean to bring happiness into your life. And the only way to do that is via Jesus, whatever. But this feels sort of misleading. A lot of Christians will admittedly suffer for their faith. It's a very difficult road for a lot of people, as life tends to be. So it just seems odd to see someone rewriting this message in such an unhelpful and impractical way.
If dinosaurs actually existed, wouldn't their bones be everywhere? Let's all put our critical thinking skills to the test this morning. So why is it that the average Joe has never dug them up? Like, why haven't you or I or anyone we know ever found a bone?
This girl is my absolute favorite. And yeah, people find fossils all the time. Like, you hear about it all the time. Am I the only one? Some estimates actually say a new dinosaur species is found every 2 weeks because so many of them are found.
Yeah, and it's got to the point now where it's so easy to find fossils that folks can sell them to children so they can dig up their own bit of dino.
And another thing, bones can completely decay within 20 years. But these people are finding fossils that are intact, that still have teeth attached, from 76 million years ago.
So she clearly doesn't know the difference between a bone and a fossil. Once again, the education system has really failed a lot of people here. Sediment makes a mold of the bone over many years. Minerals slowly replace the bone and it basically makes a replica. You know, my son could actually probably explain this pretty well because he's super into dinosaurs, like obsessed with dinosaurs, and also he's almost 3 years old.
You know, my son's pediatrician said that kids that are obsessed with dinosaurs tend to have higher IQs, which may just be something he said because my little floating circle was wearing dinosaur clothes that day. But I digress. The dino bones versus fossils argument from theists is up there with the DNA has actual letters in it argument that they also regularly spew. Lasai.
I honestly believe they put these creatures in front of us and made us believe it because of this. After all of our fallen ancestors have always talked about the Nephilim. The fallen angels. Yeah, big-ass giants.
Big-ass giants. They got the big... It's giant. Okay, so I'm gonna skip past these like blatantly fake images. I mean, this dude actually had a pituitary tumor. His name was Robert Waldo. He was a very tall man, okay? Not a fallen angel giant.
It's scary when they say they believe something that is clearly not a real photo. There are other folks on the internet that genuinely believe that men and pterodactyls existed together because of photos like this. And now with these stupid AI pictures where you squint to see Jeebus, the non-skeptical thinkers are really coming out. And yet she wants folks to think skeptically. Look at the hands on this one, for crying out loud.
And if the meteor thing truly happened, if something of that magnitude was to hit Earth, it'd be something like 10,000 nuclear bombs going off. How didn't everything get obliterated? There wouldn't be anything left, let alone bones. It's easy to connect the dots once your eyes are open. It's just another thing they made up to keep us from the truth. Truth is, giants existed.
That image actually is from the ancient alien theme park. This one was just photoshopped. Also, like, why would this be acceptable evidence to her that giants exist, but literally seeing dinosaur fossils? That's just total BS. Like, when's the last time an average Joe unearthed a giant, Karen?
Yeah, sorry lady. Just saying giants existed but dinosaurs didn't, well...
That is one big pile of shit.
How Atheists thinks world was created.
Yeah, I feel like this guy skipped a few chapters. You know, like billions of years worth of chapters in between, but you go. It's so funny how he thinks he's insulting atheists in this, but I think it's actually a little bit more reflective of his way of thinking. Yeah, again, stay in school, kids.
And yet, for theists, it's not silly to think that an undemonstrated sky fairy that had always existed waited a certain amount of time doing absolutely nothing and then just decided to poof everything into existence from nothing, and then had to use dust or dirt or clay, depending on which holy book you read, to create a man, but one of the man's ribs to make a woman. Sure.
For the atheist, is this an accurate statement? An atheist cannot have faith in atheism. One cannot accept atheism like a man accepts an apple or a jacket. It just is. Atheists can accept the idea of deities, but an atheist cannot accept it, as atheism is just a lack of belief in deities. Atheism is the default position. Theism introduces the claim that there are deities and must provide evidence to the atheist, since the theist has the burden of proof. When one claims an atheist has faith, it's illogical, as you cannot accept the lack of belief in something. The statement was to show I understand what an atheist is saying here. But here's why individuals can still have faith in it and where it falls.
Oh dear. He was doing so well. Go on, JCO, why do I have faith?
Theism and atheism are binary opposing concepts. For one to reject one means to unknowingly accept the other. If one were to make a claim on theism with I don't know, that person would be agnostic on the choices. But once an individual states they reject theism, they are actively choosing the other. Let's imagine a scenario where if someone asks another who would have won the Super Bowl earlier in this year between the Chiefs and Eagles. If they responded with, I reject or I don't think the Eagles will win, they unknowingly chose the Chiefs and vice versa.
Not accepting a team to win doesn't automatically mean you think the other team will win. This is why I love real football. The round one, not the egg-shaped ball. You can end a game in a tie.
I wonder, does this guy have faith that fairies don't exist? Is it his faith that leprechauns aren't riding unicorns around the moon every night? And it's so frustrating because he clearly understands atheism by the steel man he presented at the beginning of this argument, but then goes on to completely fail at applying it to real life. And since we're talking sports, let's use a better analogy for him. It's not about the two teams playing, right? We know there are two teams. We can see them both. They're both playing. Awesome. Atheism is like not being on a team. It's like not having a team. It's like not playing the sport, right? Football is a sport, but you want to know what isn't a sport? Not playing football. And as a completely unrelated side note, I'd like to add that I'm really good at not playing football. I'm pretty much like the star not player. Ow. Autographs at the end, please.
But if the individual decides to say, I don't know, they are neither rejecting or accepting any team. They are agnostic on it. A lot of individuals seem to be under the impression that one cannot accept it. Theism and atheism are still just beliefs on whether there are deities or not.
Well, actually, one is a lack of belief, a lack of being convinced, and agnosticism isn't middle ground. It's a whole other, well, sport, I guess, since we're playing with analogies. Sorry, JG, I get carried away sometimes.
Not a video goes by without having to talk about agnosticism. No one gets it. It has nothing to do with belief. Stop it, please. It's just simply the lack of knowledge. That's it. If someone doesn't even know what football is, it's pretty safe to say they don't play football, you know?
Just because some individuals define atheism as the lack of doesn't make it a default position with the theist needing to provide the burden of proof.
No, it absolutely does. If I was to tell you about the one true cosmic deity, Lisa the rainbow giraffe, leaf be upon her, and you didn't accept it or believe it, the burden of proof would be on me, the claimant, to demonstrate that there actually was a giant rainbow deity that pooped the universe into existence.
Does this dude know what a steelman is? Like, he's supposed to engage with that argument that's presented, not just completely discard it, do a 180, and say the total opposite thing. Earlier on, he literally explained how the burden of proof is on the person making the claim. Also, you know what? I believe in Lisa, leaf be upon her, and I think no further evidence is needed.
This would be equivalent to an orphan who never saw their parents rejecting the claim that people have parents, and it makes that the default since it's the lack of, with someone else needing to provide the burden of proof. The default position is irrelevant, and the burden of proof is only needed for the one who starts a claim in a conversation. If an atheist decides to talk to a pastor all of a sudden, saying, "I reject your evidence on God," they will have to provide the burden of proof since they started a claim.
So, hang on. I say out loud that I don't believe in gods, and then someone hears me and says, prove it. What? Are you okay?
I do not believe that the guy making this video is actually a mermaid that swims around in the clouds. I am starting this conversation. All right. The burden of proof then is clearly on me because I don't believe it.
Their claim is that the pastor's evidence is not convincing or valid. Now, atheism is a claim. It's the rejection on theism.
I think we have a winner for the most stupid thing said on the internet today.
Yep, and not playing football is a super fun sport.
There's a difference between rejecting theism and suspending judgment on it. Once an individual rejects a claim of one of the two possibilities, they chose the other.
There aren't only two options, though. The football game could be cancelled. All of the players on one team could quit. Oh, hang on, we're not doing analogies again, never mind.
An individual only has two options: is making a judgment call, rejecting atheism and accepting theism, or accepting atheism and rejecting theism.
What about people who grow up in cultures that don't have any gods? You can't reject something you have no idea about.
Very good point. And as a side note, the entire concept of like accepting atheism is very strange to me. It's not a religion. It's not a way of life. It's really just a simple no thank you to folks asking you to accept their sky daddy.
Ever felt like science and the Bible are at constant war? Well, hold on to your hats, because what I'm about to share might just bridge that age-old gap. Ready to dive deep into the mysteries that connect faith and facts? Let's go. First up, the Big Bang Theory. Now, science tells us about an explosive beginning to everything. Sounds a bit like In the Beginning from Genesis, doesn't it?
This guy sounds like the guy from the Clear Eyes commercials, and I cannot unhear it.
Exciting news for soft contact lens wearers. For dry, blurry lenses, Clear Eyes CLR.
And now you can't unhear it either. Yes, lots of religions have creation stories, and I'm sure they all want to take credit for being the right answer. Or maybe, just maybe, you're fitting science into the narrative you've already created, except for all the things we want to ignore. Like when it says the earth was created first, and then the sun and stars, and then let there be light sort of happened before there was the sun or stars. Yeah, so there's that.
It might explain why so much is messed up, though. If the god was doing the creating in the dark, accidentally making most of the planet uninhabitable for its precious creation.
And then there's the global flood. Geologists have uncovered layers upon layers of sediment worldwide that whisper tales of widespread water catastrophe. Sounds eerily similar to Noah's story, right?
Eerily similar how? Because there was widespread water catastrophe, that means there was a global flood?
And someday everything may well be underwater again thanks to plate tectonics. Basic high school science can demonstrate why there are so many layers.
Moving on to the laws of nature. The precision in the universe's design often makes me wonder, could this really be all chance? Or is it pointing us towards a grand designer, much like what the Bible has been hinting at?
I mean, the Bible hasn't really been hinting at that. It straight up tells you there's a designer. That's sort of the entire point. Also, everything seeming fine-tuned is a product of evolution, of natural selection. It's not random.
And fine-tuned? external testicles, crowded teeth, narrow pelvises, windpipes and food pipes being joined at the top, and the recurrent laryngeal nerve suggest the exact opposite of fine-tuned.
So, what do you think? Coincidence? Or could it be that science is actually uncovering the magnificent blueprint designed by a higher power? Maybe, just maybe, science isn't disproving God, but rather unveiling his incredible work.
It's not up to science to disprove God, nor is that the goal of science. Science doesn't care. It will change if better evidence is provided. Religion, the Bible, it cannot do that. Science just does not support a literal interpretation of Genesis, and it never will.
Right, but Jacqueline, if they can't try and shoehorn what everyday people can see with repeatable tests into the Bible, how else are they going to make their God seem like it's not a lazy, non-existent, terrible designer that is non-existent and doesn't exist? Sorry.
All right, again, thank you so much to the skeptic for helping me react to these clips.
It's pretty easy to point out the silliness when you're doing it with someone else. Thanks, Jacqueline, for allowing me to float onto your channel for this one. And feel free to come over and watch a few more reactions together on a Jacqueline collab video on my channel.
I will leave a link to the collaboration we did over on his channel in the description below, so make sure to click all those links and go share some love. But yes, please go support. And skeptic, if you're still out there, are you still out there? It's hard to tell if a circle is still watching. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Of course, I'm still here. Circles are always just, well, there. You can find me at youtube.com/theskeptic, where every week I point out silly things that people claim. But it is definitely much more fun to do it with a new friend. So yeah, come and watch the other video that Jacqueline and I did and, you know, be like well-fitting underwear. Come and support.
All right, guys, you heard the circle. Go support, go subscribe, go watch that part 2 video. And if you're coming over here from his video, hi, welcome, stay a while. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Ow.
Don't be laughing. Okay, wait.
Throw it at mommy. Ow. Thanks, buddy.